Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're listening to That Infernal Noise, now part of the Mental Health News Radio Network.
Devil, not no more for these, you call me Ichigo. Now I let my aura grow as I pull my Zanpakuto. Let me introduce you, his name is Sangetsu. Well, he will only live if and when we let you. Been through a lot of things, killed oh so many hollows, didn't know at first which path was the right to follow. I don't fight, cause I want to win, I fight, cause I have to. I will take my spirit energy and aim it right back at you. Fighting a nigga be Yakuya, taught me a lot of things, like how to channel and harness all my hate and rage in the form of a bankai. I don't understand why I'm the only one fighting, all the others stand by. I'm not such a saint, I promise that I'll risk my life for strangers. Neither am I scum enough to sit back while they're in danger. Everyone looking at me like I'm a superhero, like this is the Matrix and I'm playing Neo. But I'll see my duty through, what the fuck else would I do? Just let it all rot or leave it up to Udi. You a fuck all that now, cause I'm the one in full control. That is until the hollow takes control over my soul. I'm a fucking anime kid. Make a what? 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 And if you don't like it, shut the motherfucker up.
Welcome back to That Infernal Noise. I am Robert. Thank you to everybody that has been sharing, subscribing, all that stuff. I really appreciate you. If this is your first time here, this podcast is a little different. I use it as a personal diary almost, while also discussing my mental health journey, which I think is very important. I'm a mental health advocate. No, I don't look like it with the piercings and whatnot, but I think it's very important. And I think a lot of people in my situation, being the underground, coming from metal, hip hop, all that shit, and just growing up the way that I did, growing up a little bit more old school, mental health is kind of looked at as a taboo, and you don't really talk about it. I am not that person. I am the type of person that likes to talk about my struggles. Not in the aspect that I'm looking for sympathy or anything like that, but more so because I enjoy putting my experiences out there in order to make people feel like they're not alone, or just to have somebody to identify with, to know that everybody goes through it. I've had several discussions with my friends about that exact same thing, just letting them know that, hey, you know, we're all going through it. So if you need somebody to talk to, or if you need to vent or let shit out, whatever you want to call it, you can hit me up and we'll talk about it. I personally try to convince everybody to go through therapy, even if it's not necessarily needed at the time, because a lot of times we don't realize what exactly is bothering us. We just know that something's off. And even in those moments, I think therapy is useful in order to help flush those out, figure out our triggers, and get to a point where we can have more functional relationships. Not just with other people, but with ourselves as well. I pride myself on being very, not self-conscious, but self-aware, I guess, in the aspect that I'm always soul-searching. I'm always looking for my triggers and trying to figure myself out in order to better myself. I know that in and of itself is kind of taboo as well, because, you know, it makes you seem self-centered and whatnot, and I just don't look at it like that. I look at it more as I am trying to better myself. I'm trying to better myself for me, for my relationship with my wife, my kids, my friends, whoever. And it's an ongoing struggle. That's why I call the podcast That Infernal Noise, because it's that noise in the back of your head that you're always trying to fight against. And I know I'm not the only one with it. I actually had a conversation with one of my friends today about that, where it's It's not voices in your head per se, but it's that nagging feeling that you get whenever something goes good and the voice is telling you, no, it's not. This is going to go to shit because of ABC. Or whenever things go bad, it's the voice saying, see, I told you this was going to go to shit because you don't deserve anything good, etc. And I personally struggle with that voice a lot. I had to take responsibility and seek help. And I was staunchly against it. Anybody that knows me knows that I was very much against medication and therapy initially. Because I felt at the time I was uneducated, and I felt personally like nobody gave a shit. Which at certain times may be true, because if you're anything like me, you try to push people away and make it so nobody does want to talk to you. And I had to have a long look at myself in the mirror about that and realize that I need to take accountability for it. I need to take accountability for the negative things that I've done to impact other people, be it friends, be it romantic partners, my kids, everything. I've had to do all that. And that part's not fun. Whenever you realize that you were just an all-around shitty person, you know, and a lot of people going through that get to a very negative headspace and very dangerous place. I myself am one of those people. I got to a level of apathy that I was not comfortable with. I got the intrusive thoughts coming on an insanely regular basis. And I was very suicidal for a long time. Longer than I care to admit. Longer than I probably even realized. And watching my wife go through what she's gone through in the course of her life, and now being in her mid-30s, trying to deal with all of it, I realized that she needed help. And that's how this whole journey started in the first place, was because Niche went to therapy first. She got on medication first. And then I saw the change in her for the better. She went back to more the girl that I fell in love with. And I mean, granted, it's not going to be the same because we're older now. We have a family. Like, there's 10 years of shit in between the time I met her and the time that we are at now. Or when she started therapy, rather. And she got that zest for life back. She got a monochrome of her confidence back. She didn't feel like the world was crashing down around her. And in seeing that, it made me realize what my responsibility was at that point. And I don't mean it in the aspect that she pushed it on me or she had ultimatums or anything like that, because that couldn't be further from the truth. She didn't tell me I needed to do it. She showed me I needed to do it, in the aspect that I saw the benefits that she was getting from it, and I started falling further down the rabbit hole. That's whenever I was at my lowest. And for the first time in my life, I saw the benefit of it. The benefit of therapy and getting on the proper medications and adjusting them accordingly so you're in that good zone as opposed to the zombie or suicidal or whatever. Figuring out that right dosage. which is just as important as the therapy. And doing the therapy is the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. I've never felt more accountable for myself. I've never felt more responsible for myself, which is saying something because I've been on my own since I was 19 and I'm pushing 39 now. And I know people have been on their own longer than that. I'm not saying that, but I was still a kid whenever I got out on my own. And as good as my family was trying to raise me, my grandparents were the main ones raising me, and they grew up in a different generation where you didn't talk about feelings, you didn't talk about your emotions and the things that are bothering you and depressing you and all that stuff because it wasn't real, or however you want to look at it. And it took a very long time for me to get out of that. It took years of active addiction in various forms. There was drug use, there was alcoholism, there was infidelity out the fucking wahoo, but it all was because there was a piece of me missing. And not in like a religious sense or anything like that, because I'm not a religious person. It's not for me. And that's not talking shit on anybody that does have it. It's just, it's not for me. Because personally, growing up Catholic, it teaches you that as long as you repent on your deathbed, then it's a free pass. You got the golden ticket to the chocolate factory. And while that may work for some and that may comfort some, that's not for me. Because being an addict, being every bit of the negative person that I am, if I don't have personal accountability, it is just a slippery slope for me. And then next thing you know, I'm not coming home at night, spending the night with other people, or binge drinking, or doing God knows what else, instead of taking care of my responsibilities and my family, and taking care of myself first and foremost. Some people I know have found religion, and that has worked for them, and I could not be happier, because whatever works for you is what's important and what you should do, period. I will never preach against any kind of religion. I will never preach against any kind of therapy, no matter what kind of therapy you see, because there are different types of therapy. I don't even trip on people that want to do like ayahuasca or hallucinogens or whatever, microdosing, because that does help some people. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested in that myself. It's just I don't think that I'm at a point now mentally where I could necessarily handle it. I'm closer, but I don't think that that's a door I want to walk through just yet. Because as a kid, I used to do stuff like that to escape all of the stuff. And part of me believes that whenever you use escapism for so long, that whenever you go back to it, you're confronted with all that stuff. And that terrifies the shit out of me, because all the stuff I do remember, I can't imagine what I forgot. So if I did, that's probably for a good reason. And I do this to let some of that out, to try to better understand myself, because as I'm recording it right now, I can see my face behind me, and it's like I'm having a conversation with myself. And I feel that we as people don't do that as much as we should, because everybody looks at it as crazy, or, oh my God, you're having a conversation with yourself or whatever. But I think it could be very therapeutic and very helpful in one's growth, because you're having to look yourself in the eyes. You're having to watch your own facial expressions and see if you're full of shit, basically. And I know that's kind of a weird way to look at it, but that's how I look at it. I enjoy being confronted with myself. I enjoy the accountability and responsibility that comes with that, because I spent so much time ducking responsibility. And not, okay, well, maybe not ducking it, because I was still responsible to a certain extent, but I wasn't as ever present as I should have been, because I was a kid and stupid up until even 2-3 years ago. And now I'm fully present. I'm clear-headed. The level of clarity with all of this is insane. And that's what pushed me to do the podcast. Pushed me to try to do everything that I'm doing. You know, not having all my eggs in one basket, trying to create multiple income streams and stuff like that, because I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm not afraid of the uncertainty, because I'm the one that's held accountable for it. I'm the one that all of it falls on. And I know I've been through worse, so what's preventing me from trying? What's preventing me from going full bore into something that I care about, that I love, that I'm passionate about, and making a go of it? Not for fame or fortune or whatever else, but because some of us have this innate want and need to try to help people. And I think everybody has it to an extent. It's just whether or not you feed and nurture that side of you. And I spend a lot of time trying to bury that part of me. Long time. I try to drown it. I try to overdose it. I did everything possible to get rid of the side of me that has feelings and emotions, because you're supposed to be a big, strong dude, and you're not supposed to fucking think like that, and whatever else, which is bullshit. But I've embraced all of it now. I've taken ownership of it. You know, I've had conversations with everybody important to me in my life, and just basically laid everything out on the table and said, this is how I feel, this is what it is. I'm sorry if that makes you feel some kind of way, but I have to get this shit off my chest, because the last thing I want to do is be on my deathbed with regrets. Not telling people how I felt, good, bad, or indifferent. I want everybody to know exactly what I thought, exactly what they meant to me, because at the end of the day, I'm the only one accountable for it. I never want my friends, my wife, my kids, anybody to ever question how I felt about them, or question what I thought, or anything like that. And granted, that has been a detriment at times, because as I'm sure anybody close to me will tell you, I am a little too honest at times. Whenever I get emotional, I just kind of go off at the mouth. I'm not as spiteful as I used to be, luckily. But there's still that dark side there. There's still that I'm being attacked, I have to attack back kind of thing. And that's part of what I'm fighting against every day. To not lash out and tell people to go fuck themselves. Sometimes it's warranted, don't get me wrong, but that's not the way to handle things. That's not the way I like to handle things, because what good does that do? What good does it do to make enemies, I guess? Not necessarily enemies, but to have people have that negative image of you whenever that's not the image you want portrayed. Some people are content with that. Some people are content with everybody disliking them and all that stuff, and I'm not. I want to be that person that everybody might have some kind of fucking weird or fucked up story about me, which I'm cool with. But I want the good to outweigh the bad. And some of my negative stories that I'd be afraid of people telling are funny memories to other people. Usually drunken nights and inappropriate behavior, but that's what happens when you live a rock star lifestyle. But I want to keep holding myself accountable, to keep doing this, to keep me honest. Because I treat it like my therapy. It's my Thursday therapy. You know, I don't lie to my therapist. I'm very frank and honest with what I think and how I feel. And I treat this much the same way. If I'm not honest, then it kind of defeats the purpose, you know? And I don't want that. I want this to be as honest and real as possible, because in my waking life, that's what I do. I try to be as real and honest and transparent with everybody as possible. Even people I don't know that well. I try to express to them if they've affected me in some positive light. I try to stay away from it if it's negative, because not because I'm afraid of confrontation, but because I'm afraid of confrontation. I'm not afraid of somebody confronting me. I'm afraid of what I'm going to say and do in the conversation. And so I try to avoid that. Just because I don't feel like you need to put negative energy towards an already negative situation. So I try to stay clear of stuff like that. But whenever it comes to positivity, I try to spread that as much as possible. I try to make people look at it from both sides. I try to boost people up. Like Kevin Smith said, I ain't here to play goalie. I'm here to try to help people achieve their dreams. And I've done that with friends, family, whoever. You know, it's like, okay, I want to do this. All right, cool. What do we need to do? All right, let's get a mic, let's get a camera, let's do this, that. Oh, I found this program. We can use this. We can record like this, yada, yada, whatever. And in doing so, it helped me find my passion for this. You know, helping people has given me the most insight, I think. Because it's helped me find my true self in the aspect that I feel fulfilled. I feel like this is what I'm meant to do. Like, I know it's corny to some people or whatever to help and all that, but it's not corny to me. It actually means a lot. And yeah, I know people say, well, you're supposed to be selfless and you're not supposed to do it for yourself, but I guess it is a little selfish because of what I get out of it. But I don't see that as a bad thing. You know, life is all about transactions and interactions of energy and the energy exchange between two people or more, depending on the situation. And I think we need to be more mindful of that. I try to put out as much positive energy as possible. I try to give props and tell people what I think in a positive light in order to maybe not make their day better. Maybe it does, I don't know. Or just post motivational stuff, no matter how corny and hacky some people see it. And I used to be like that. I used to see stuff like that, or stuff talking about negative relationships, or positive relationships rather, and just roll my eyes and be like, oh God, that's disgusting. But it's because, for me at least, I don't know how it is for everybody else, like, I wasn't happy. I wasn't living my best life or whatever. I was just kind of drudging along and just accepting everything for what it was, as opposed to trying to fix everything and trying to get to a better place to where I was happy. And now I am. So I turned into the guy that I hated seeing. And some people might call it hypocritical, but I call it growth. I call it progression, because I'm not stuck in the same cycles anymore. I'm not stuck in the same bullshit that I once was. I'm trying to get better. If I make a mistake, I try to learn from it and not try to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again, which is a motto I've had in my life. You know, because every time I cheated on my ex-wife, I did it for a different reason. Granted, that's not a good excuse, but it is what it is. Every time I binge drink, it was pretty much for the same reason, but I also knew that at the time. Like, I was self-aware enough to know that I was a piece of shit for doing what I was doing. And I knew it wasn't beneficial, but at the same time, I knew that that was the only way I knew how to cope at the time. Now, I can have a few beers and be done, and I don't have to fucking kill the bottle or buy out the bar or shit like we used to do. I can just have a good time. And I really missed that. I really missed being able to just be social. You know, I still have social anxiety like a son of a bitch, but it's gotten a little bit easier to deal with because I don't have the sort of Damocles hanging over my head whenever it comes to drinking. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I don't do it as often. I don't do it at all, really. I think I had like 6 beers one weekend, and I didn't react at all. Not in a negative sense. Didn't even get drunk. And it was liberating. I know I say that a lot, but it was. It was liberating to see myself in that situation and not turn it into something that it didn't need to be. Because I've watched myself do that so many times. And it was nice. It was nice knowing that I have control. Some people, that doesn't work. They have to go completely dry. And I completely understand that, because I was in that same place in my life at one point. At this point, I'm not there. I'm at a place where I'm comfortable. I have self-control. And most importantly, I have the knowledge to know that I don't need this. This is something that I can do, but I choose not to. And I'm not, however anybody gets to the point that they need to, is fine. You know, I would suggest things that aren't detrimental to your health, that don't slowly kill your brain or create friction in your marriages or relationships or whatever. But I do understand the need to do those things because I've been there. And it took a very long time for me to get out of there. It took niche pulling me back from the edge, basically. And all the work she's put in, and all the work that I've put in separately, and then all the work we put in with each other together. The constant conversations, the constant reassurance if we need it, and not feeling like, excuse me, and not feeling like the other person is being too needy. Because in a relationship, like, that's what you're supposed to do. And I didn't learn that until way too fucking late. But we're digging ourselves out of the hole. And I dare say our relationship's been better than it ever has been. And that's very reassuring to me. It's like all the shit we've been through, I still feel like we're getting to a good place. And that's all I've ever wanted. Like, I've never wanted the white picket fence and all that shit. I wanted somebody I could count on. But I didn't realize that in turn, I also had to be somebody that people could count on. So I had to make those changes in me, and then that made the changes in my relationship. And it's amazing to see. Because I never thought I'd get here. I never thought I'd be in a place where I felt comfortable talking about my feelings and talking about all of the negative shit that's gone on and not have it completely define me. It's very, very cathartic to be able to do this. And to be able to have somebody get something out of it, even if it's something small. And no matter what you get out of it, you get out of it. I hope everybody gets something out of it. Even if it's a laugh. Because I'm not above that. You laugh at me, I'm fucking totally cool with that, and that will make me happier than fucking anything, because I love to make people laugh. Whether it's with me or at me remains to be seen, but I really don't care either way. That's it for today. Want to thank you guys for listening. Please follow me on all social media, thatinfernalnpc. Got some things cooking up behind the scenes. Hope to release them by the time we do the next podcast in 2 weeks. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be posting it on social media whenever I get the green light to do so. And remember, y'all, don't let the noise make you. You make the noise.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you like the show or know somebody who would, please subscribe and share to help us grow the show. You can follow us on all socials at thatinfernalnpc. You can listen on YouTube and Podbean at That Infernal Noise or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.